Hello and welcome to all you beautiful people out there, and welcome to the Hindustan Times Online Desimartini podcast. And today I have with me the very beautiful, the very gorgeous, and the serenely one and only Digangana Suryavanshi. Hello, Digangana.
Thank you for having me here.
Oh,
Wonderful
it's
having
it's a
you.
pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
So Digangana, you've got two releases back to back on the same day,
Yes.
Friday and
Jalebi.
absolutely. So, how is it all about? I mean, what is it all about, and how are you feeling?
I'm very excited, yeah. I mean, I say all of these things that, like I'm trying to be composed, I'm trying to act so calm, but internally there's like a cyclone
Butterflies in the
of emotions.
stomach.
Oh, God, so much. Trying to be all nice. So, they're two very different films. Friday is like, it's a proper out and out comedy.
Yes, absolutely,
It's-
and especially when it starts Govinda. I mean,
Yes.
there's no question.
Yes, exactly. And I've been so fortunate to work with him.
Absolutely.
It's seriously a blessing. My very first film. I mean, I wouldn't get the growing up thingy in between, but when you think of comedy, you think of Govinda.
Exactly, absolutely.
I mean, and I haven't done comedy ever before, so for me, it's all the more exciting to sort of be able to do comedy with him, because a lot of people call me up and they said, people can't perform in front of him because he's so good and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So for me to just be that one-on-one thingy with him was like a huge thing.
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
like, that's crazy. Jalebi is a drama love story. So.
As far as Jalebi is concerned, it's a remake of a very famous
Yes,
Bengali film,
yes,
Praktun.
yes.
So, I mean, was there some kind of a pressure, as in like you've got to live up to the audience expectation of the film, and because it's supposed to be the highest grossing film in the entire country.
Right. Honestly, that's one of the biggest reasons I didn't see the film.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, because I heard so much about it already, and I
Mm-hmm.
heard that it did so well, and people have performed so. See, it's not just about the film doing well.
Yeah.
It's also about people who put in their input to make it what it is at that point in time. So I heard so much about the performances, and I heard. It was one of the very tricky role to play. Also, they modulated a lot of things. Like they changed a couple of things.
Okay, so it's not an out-and-out remake per se.
You'll have to wait for that.
Okay.
but what I can say is, see, three people in this story are different. The age gap, the frame of the film is different, obviously. So we had to change a couple of things. But I knew if I would watch the film, somewhere while you're doing it, it's gonna play at the back of your mind,
Yes,
which
yes.
for me might backfire.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, I rather prefer to take this as a fresh script, like do it my way, understand it my way, and sort of emote it like that. So that became a lot more easier.
Digangana, I mean, of late there are many TV actresses who are debuting on the big screen, and this is your. I would say this is your big week
Oh,
that you're
yeah.
going to debut on the big screen as well.
I know.
So, how do you think what was that factor that you kept in your mind in your performances, especially, that you thought would differentiate you from the rest of the crowd?
Whoa.
Excuse me.
They're wonderful colleagues. They're all friends.
Yeah,
I've known
absolutely.
them for-
No denying that.
I've known them on television, and we've some I worked with, some I haven't worked with, but I've known them obviously because I've done television since I was 7, so I kind of know people.
Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, she's just 20.
Yes, and I worked for 12, 13 years. I feel old.
Okay.
Yes, thank you for that. But interestingly, so Friday I shot about a year ago. Okay, and I was supposed to have a different release date. Jalebi I shot after that, and in my head
Okay.
I had no clue that they'd release on the same day. I think it's destiny. But when you ask about all of these other people debuting from television, I think, see, people have their own journey. I can't consciously try not to be like somebody or try and be like somebody, and that's not my forte. I try to seek validation in between, and I try to mold myself into a structure where it's nice as actors and artists to be accepted by people and to be loved by people, but for
Okay.
that you can't really change who you really are on the ground level.
Absolutely.
Right? And you shouldn't, because if that's me as a human being, there's something that kind of brings in my head to make me that person, right?
Absolutely.
So I have to have my enough reasons and logics and my life experiences, I'd rather say, that sort of made me and molded me in a certain way, and a certain artist. So I know I am different. I know, because I'm not trying to replicate anybody. I never had that insecurity, because especially Jalebi, when I watched this, when people were like, do you want to watch that other film? I was like, unconsciously, you'll try and act like someone else.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
they have done a certain thing, and that plays at the back of your mind, right? I mean, if they would have told me that you have to because we want you to, then I would. But they gave me the liberty of having a choice of watching it or not watching it or taking it the way that I wanted to. I decided not to. Here comes the same thing, that I don't look at all of these other girls, even who are already doing films. I mean, my competition would never be just from people. There's so many people, but the industry is so huge. I
Absolutely.
mean, you can always accommodate people who are really good enough. So I never took it like that, and for me, it wasn't like, oh my god, it's a TV tag. To be very honest, I'm very fortunate to be able to debut with 2 films, which is itself like Indian film industry history. And I am the youngest person who comes from television. At
Yeah.
20, it's so tough, and we know how it all works. So I kind of keep faith and do what I do.
Digangana, very well said, actually.
Thanks.
The fact that I mean, from what you just said, it's a lot of a lot of psychology playing in whatever you just said. I mean, these thoughts, the very thought process, and the I mean, are you a good reader? Are you a reader? Are you a voracious
I
reader?
write.
Oh, you're a writer. So
Yes.
what have you written?
I wrote a novel when I was 16.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's an achievement in itself, darlings.
And I wrote a book of lyrics when I was 14. And my novel is called Nixie, the Mermaid and the Power of Love.
Oh my God, I've heard of that. Actually.
You have?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
So I'm the author. And my book of lyrics is in fact it's all about emotions and feelings. And for me to write all of those things when I was 14, my parents freaked out because they didn't understand where it was coming from. They're like, what just happened? Like some of those days that you
Yeah,
feel that you know
absolutely.
everything about your child, and then you suddenly read something and you're not accepting that it's your kiddo who's kind of written it. So I've heard that a lot, but I feel that maturity comes from writing. I think so. And also observation, obviously. To write, you have to seek from where you are, what you
Absolutely.
do, from other people. There's so much give and take.
And the fact that Fryday and Jalebi, both of them are 2 different genres altogether,
Oh, yeah.
and they are completely different films. As you just said, one is an absolute comedy, and the other one is a little serious romance. So how did you kind of? I mean, obviously, most of the times you might be shooting for the for both the films
Yes.
almost all together
Yes.
in different schedules.
Yes.
So how did you kind of transform from one particular character in your head
Right.
to the other? Was it difficult, or how was it all like?
Interestingly, I'll tell you something. I'm a very switch on, switch off person.
Okay.
So even if you see me in a situation where we're supposed to shoot like something that's terribly intense, and you're probably, like you're thinking that, oh my god, you have to be highly emotional, and you have to be looking at someone else and sort of emoting a certain scene, you would actually find me giggling a minute before. And I'm not even
Okay.
kidding. Like, I crack jokes before I get into a scene. Like,
Okay.
it's not funny at all.
Okay, we've heard of actors who kind of seclude themselves and they kind of close themselves up, lock themselves up into rooms, and in order to come into the character and all of that. And here we have an actress who, before an intense scene, prefers to laugh and make others laugh as well.
Exactly. People are in fact playing music, and I wanted to speak to somebody about something that we're not filming. And you generally don't find me having a conversation about, so let's get into this or let's get into that. I process information when it's delivered to me. That's
Okay.
it. So I want to hear it from my director, from the writer. See, my perception of a certain scene can be A and there can be C.
Okay.
Right? So I just want to understand where they're coming from, and then I kind of think that all in my head, and then I don't overdo things. I'm not like somebody who rehearses a lot, somebody who reads a lot. In fact, I read my script just once.
Okay, and then somehow play with the characters in your head.
Yeah, somehow I'm also good with lines, so it's not like I have to read it over and over again to kind of remember my lines.
Okay.
Because I remember them anyway. So I don't have to read it more than once or twice, maximum, or stuff like that. Secondly, the most important thing, so also that being a fact that I can switch on and switch off, I think it became a bit too much when people figured that I can cry without using glycerine ever.
You can.
Yeah, ever. So
Well, one of the actresses I knew who could cry without glycerine was none other than the very tragedy queen, Meena Kumari. And here we have the next actress.
That's so sweet. My kind of feet is off the ground right now. You said that. I'm a huge fan. But honestly, so I started working when I was 7, and I don't remember. I don't know what glycerine feels like. So when I say I haven't used glycerine, I mean in every shot, every retake, every time I'm trying to support my co-actor to kind of cry for them, because a lot of the times it's your back and
But then
it's their face.
when you cry,
It takes me like 10 seconds. I'm like joking with you this moment, and then next they're like prep for it, camera setup and stuff. It takes me 10 seconds and I'm right there. So it freaks a lot of people out sometimes. And I say that when you have taken glaze and you are prepared, tell me like a couple of seconds before and I'll slip into the shoes. So for me, because I think it starts getting a lot nerve-wracking if I kind of think of it before, because I really kind of dive too deep. So for me, it just takes in a couple of seconds to get there and come back out. And I have to come back out, I'd be breathless.
okay, and oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, what I just heard it has really numbed me, and it's becoming difficult for me to even speak a word after this. But you know, when you delve into an emotion that's so strong that actually can extract tears out of your peepers,
Yeah.
you know, it becomes. I mean, you are completely immersed into something which perhaps hits you very hard from within. So, is there something which perhaps you could? I mean, you don't really have to state it out explicitly,
Right.
but
No, but I'll tell you something very honestly. I've been asked this before, and a lot of people told me how. Because, in fact, I remember this one time when I was doing my daily soap and stuff, and I had to cry for 12 hours because the sequence was such that I didn't have a single dialogue.
okay.
And I heard
I need
something.
to cry for
deliberate.
12 hours.
Yeah, and I'm just walking on the street, and you know, one of those situations where you're really numb and tears are slipping down your eyes, and you can't really do anything about it. You know, it's just a human feeling that when you hear something terrible,
absolutely.
you don't want to say anything and you don't want to express it, but it's just straight in your eyes, you know. So it was that, and I had the written in script. Fresh tears come. It was hilarious. I was laughing while I was getting ready. I remember I got off the vanity. My director walked in and he said, मेकअप दादा यहाँ आइए, आप यहाँ आइए, आज ही अपना record break करेंगी because आज तो ग्लिस या धूपांजन या आई कूल या कुछ तो लेना पड़ेगा, because you can't be, sorry, you
नहीं,
can't be crying for 12 long hours.
Absolutely.
You know, so he said, and it's a outdoor sketch, 6 to 6 you'll be filming. How
I'm
you
already
gonna do
scared,
this?
guys. I'm already scared
So-
listening to this.
So in fact, because there were like all of these news channels at that point in time, and they were a lot more curious than I probably thought people would be. Because for me, it was like a regular thing. You don't really, you know, kind of make a big deal out of it, especially when it's too normal for you. Like some of those things that are too normal to a lot of people.
Absolutely.
So it was very normal to me, but it became a big thing, and then it came all over, and then people started asking, and I literally, my dad ended up calling one of his psychiatric friends. He's like, so I picked up and I freaked out. I said, you think I'm kind of mental or something? They're like, no, but you know, it's kind of humanly not possible, Digangana, if you understand that people can't be crying for 12 hours. You know, one of those feelings that
Absolutely.
even when someone's expired, I'm sorry to say that,
Yeah.
there comes a point in time you can't cry anymore.
Exactly.
You know, it's human eye, human tendency and everything. I said, I don't know how, but I just do it. So I kind of lost explanation. Then a lot of people thought that maybe
So you mean you
I think
actually
of-
cried for 12 hours?
I actually did. Like action to cut, action to cut, action to cut. So obviously, like in a stretch, it must be like at least 7 hours of filming. At least 7.
That's
then
one
be-
shift.
Yeah.
That's an entire shift.
Yeah.
And you cried for the entire shift.
Yeah. And then people
Okay.
came up with
That's
this
an
question.
achievement in itself, guys.
Then
Okay.
they came up with a question saying, do you kind of think about something that kind of makes you cry or something like that?
Yeah.
I'm like, see, crying doesn't mean generating tears. Crying means a certain feeling, right? How can I be thinking about a next moment and emoting another moment? You know what I mean? I mean, you could be crying for not passing a test. You could be crying for a breakup. You
Yeah.
could be crying for somebody passing away. You could be crying for a minor injury in your body that's kind of ridiculously irritating you. But they're all different feelings. They can't look same. Then, you know, it's kind of, it's one of the simplest way for me to explain people. I can't go back on in the past and kind of think of something and relive it to create something in the moment, because that's not possible.
So all the directors, if you're listening, if you have a really very soppy and a very melancholic script, this is your girl.
Please do.
Digangana, let me ask
Yes.
you, since you're too much into the character, you immerse yourself completely into the character, as most of the actors do. As an actor, what do you feel? How difficult it is to get out of the character when you are done with the shoot, when the shift is over? Especially because you completely, as you just said, you've bloody cried for seven hours at a stretch. So how difficult it is?
Basically a 12-hour shift, so yeah.
Now don't tell me you cried for 12 hours. You did.
12-hour shift, 6 to 6. till the sun goes down.
Okay, so I mean, how difficult it is for you to come out of the character, or do you actually come out of the character? Because it becomes very difficult for a person who's immersed himself or herself completely, so much into the character, uh, especially when you're doing a very, very moving kind of a role.
I agree. So here's the thing, you have to get out of it because it starts becoming very consuming.
Yes, absolutely.
It's like, it's out of your strength because you can put in a certain kind of an energy and do it at that moment. But if it's still kind of is in your head and it's playing somewhere at the back,
Yes.
it starts to disturb your regular conversation.
Absolutely.
Because then you're suddenly disturbed about the normal life. What does kind of affect me sometimes, I come out very quickly because I kind of found the trick, because if I don't come out, I'd be like, sinking in
Yes,
somewhere,
yes,
which I can't
yes,
afford to do
absolutely.
as a human being. So I found the trick, it works for me. But a lot of the times, sometimes you're filming a certain thing that kind of questions a thought process.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what stays with me. So what I do take away from characters and people and all that I play is that sometimes they say certain really simple things, especially in a script, and they're well thought, and that it puts you in a thought. And every time I'm kind of going back to sleep, I can't stop thinking about it. It changes you as a human being. It rather gives you perspective. Some
Absolutely.
things that you take so lightly and so conveniently, they're not so convenient in the other side of the world. Or a lot of these things that I haven't been through. Most of, like, both of these films, both of these characters are just nothing like me. And when
Okay.
I say nothing, I mean nothing. So for me to understand who they are or where they come from or where a person like that could be, it also gives me a kind of shift in my own thought process that had I been in that situation, what would Digangana do? Or how, it's very convenient to be irresponsible when you're a pampered child, right? But it puts you in a situation where you have to understand what responsibility is. And these script kind of give you perspective in a different way. So while making, it's crazy.
So Digangana, that brings me to the next question.
Yes.
You have worked for so many years. You've worked from a time where, obviously, you've been a child since you've been working in television, in front of the camera, in front of the lights and everything. You started off with serials. I remember seeing you in Kya Hadsa Kya Hakikat. So from the television scenario to the film scenario, how have things suddenly catapulted for you?
They have, in a
Yeah,
way.
they have, for sure.
For sure. It's like when you're living in the same house, your parents can never figure that how tall are you getting.
That's a very, 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 very good response.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to kind of understand what's really changing till you really look back and have a good look at what you did.
Absolutely.
I mean, there are days I'm like, what did I say? Or what was I wearing? Or what was I actually thinking at that point in time? I feel a lot evolved as an artist because, I think it's also the credibility for the kind of roles that I did. So as a child, you're treated in a certain way. You're
Yeah.
supposed to be like that, cute kid who's doing all the nice things and stuff like that. But life starts to change, especially after you're like a teenager where you're neither here nor there, trying to figure things down. They start changing. Veera really changed things for me because
yes, absolutely.
2 years I was playing a 22-year-old when I was 16. So emotionally, it's like very developing in terms of, it puts you in situations that you haven't really been in real life.
Yes,
and you haven't
exactly.
experienced, so you really don't know how you will respond to that. But it does put you in a thought that, oh my God, things like this can happen. And what would I do if it does? Now my experiences are the real experiences for my real life. It's like the other way around. People use their real life experiences for the real life. It's different now. When I did understand about the switch from television to films was going to be something, I realized it didn't need a lot of work in terms of what people wanted me to do. It needed work on myself.
Yes.
It needed work on even if you see, good looking doesn't mean I go out there and get a surgery done.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, I am very protective about, I'm one of those people who takes off makeup and looks at the mirror and like, do I still look fine? Like, did like a mosquito bit me? I don't want to cover that with a concealer. You know what I mean? I genuinely want to tell myself that, no, I look fine. I really haven't done so much for it.
And she does, for sure.
How sweet. And then I did realize that I was plumpy. I needed to lose weight. I had really long hair. I need to get that sorted because you can't really wear a wig for everything.
Yes, absolutely.
Especially in films, I can't even flip flop my that long hair. So I figured all of that out, and I understood that when you say Indian film industry, it's epic. It's the second largest industry in the
Absolutely,
world.
yeah.
I mean, the kind of mass you're trying to hit, and the kind of, I don't know what really is idealistic about me, or if there is anything idealistic about me, to be very honest. But I know I am very loyal and honest to myself. So even when this switch was going to happen, at 18, people told me, and I'm not even kidding, that you shouldn't try for films right now. I mean, there were, see, all the amazing people who have really been in the film industry told me you should because you're really made for it. But a lot of people from television, on the contrary, told me that you shouldn't because you're too young and the kind of person you are. And, you know, I kind of come back home after work and I watch TV. I'm not really like an outgoing person. I'm very different as a human being. So they told me it's not made for you. And they told me that you have to work really hard. And people make it in Bollywood, the Indian film industry.
So the fact that you said that many people actually dissuaded you from joining the film industry, do you think it came as a, I mean, what was that? I mean, did it push you to work even harder on yourself, or was it a little bit difficult for you to kind of digest whatever people are saying and still go against your gut instincts, which were again cultivated by what they said, and do what you wanted to do?
I actually shut my ears when I hear something that nasty.
Okay.
Because I know that's the best way to not focus on what they're saying, because
Just ignore.
see, yeah, you might have a separate experience, but you can't bounce your experience on me before you know, kind of prohibiting me from having my own experience.
Absolutely.
You know, to say that, see, it might be dark, take a torch, I understand, but it's dark, don't go there, is like another thing. You know, I knew that I needed a break. I knew that I needed to understand a lot of things, you know, like a lot of growing up to do. In fact, I wanted to take that time off because you don't want to grow up in the limelight, because, you know, 18 is such a transition.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
you because there are people who are certainly going to have a pinpoint on you, and they're going to have an opinion about you. So I'd rather have it like from lesser people than the wider audience to have a perspective about me every single day. But I realized that all of this time I was trying to kind of convince people in television that I can make it there, and I got to a point where I didn't want to convince anybody. And I think that was an achievement.
Absolutely.
There I started thinking just about me, people who I love, who I genuinely care about, including my fans. Because they are really never going to give me a comment saying that you shouldn't try for it. They're going to say, see, you try for it. I mean, you never know, it might just work for you. You know, stuff like that. So I understood the kind of people you don't really have to bother about. But it kind of gave me respect then, because they told me that, you know, I was like, I'm just too young to kind of get there. I was like, there's never too young. There's so many young people doing just so much amazing work. How could you be like too young to get to a certain point?
For sure. Digangana, my next question to you is the fact that you started working you started working so young, and you have been there in the limelight since a very tender age. What about your education? What about, how did you juggle the? Okay, so how do you juggle the two of them? Because you working in film,
I
which
know.
actually requires a lot of time, a lot of it takes a lot from you. And after that, when you get back home, you know that you've got to read books, you've got to get yourself in that entire mindset of sitting for the examinations and all of that. How do you kind of mold yourself or divide yourself?
So I'll tell you something. Until 12th, I was in Mithibai.
Acha.
So after 10th, I had this thing that I want to score so much that I get a authentic admission to Mithibai. You know, when you say authentic, you have that data.
Score, yeah.
You have that score, and that's how you get admitted to a certain college, because you're capable of getting there and stuff like
Yes,
that. And
absolutely.
I did. I made it, and I was super excited. 12th, I was shooting for Veera. And I had my board exams. And people freaked out saying that, see, we can't give you like a month off, because when you are a title of a certain show, you can't have that one
Yes, yes,
stretch
absolutely,
thing.
yeah.
And board exams generally go for a month. So they're one day, then they're, you know, like 2 days
and
later.
then you have the preparations as well.
Exactly. So I got my, it's very funny, but it's not funny. It wasn't funny then. Got my books 10 days before the exams.
Okay.
Yeah, and I
And
started
when you started preparing with the exams, during the exams.
during the exams. And I was shooting for 10, I was filming for 8 hours, and I was going for an exam. So what would I actually do? I would come after my exam right on set, okay?
Okay.
And say my exam is on Tuesday. So I wouldn't shoot on Monday, but then after my exam on Tuesday, I would go shoot.
Okay. Oh my
Something
God.
like that. And that went on for a month, and I got 76%, and I was super proud. And I
Wow,
literally
that's
had to get my
commendable,
certificate out.
commendable,
But yeah.
laudable, praiseworthy, applauseworthy, actually.
Now I'm gonna come to something next.
Okay.
So I actually had to put my certificate out because people were like, "That's not possible." I'm like, "Are you like happy for me, or what is it really?" But so now it always happens to me. My second year BA exams were going on when I was shooting for Jalebi.
Okay.
It was hilarious because.
So you had to. It was a deja vu feeling. अच्छा हो चुका है मेरे साथ ऐसा.
Yeah, and even to tell them that, guys, I have my exams, so I kind of had like weird expressions popping up, and I said, see, so I had 3 of my papers left when we started shooting.
Okay.
I was done with the first 3. So basically, I
Achha.
was done with the first half. I still had the second half. But before that, I was shooting for Fryday when I filled the form for my exam. So
Okay.
then also it was like funny, but it wasn't much tedious because there's nothing really you don't have to study. So I started studying a week before, and I went for.
And you were a
exam.
commerce student.
No, art student.
Art student,
Art
alright.
student. So I had my psychology left and my sociology left and literature left. I said, fantastic. All the nice things come
Okay,
one
and
by
now I am completely clear. I have a clear picture of where she gets all these psychological, and she's very literary because obviously even I'm an art student, humanities student, and so I know what kind of books and what kind of. So I completely get that.
Yeah, so I think next year I'll be graduating.
Oh, congratulations on that
Thanks.
beforehand. All right. Digangana, I will kind of pop out some very funny questions, maybe volleyed to you, and you've got to answer them very quickly
All right.
without really
A
giving
rapid
them
fire.
much. A rapid
I
fire
love
of sorts.
it. I
Yeah.
love it.
So, my first question to you is: who in the film industry do you look up to? You want to be? You want to not emulate, but you kind of idealize.
Huge fan of Kishore Kumar.
Okay, so that's a singer. Okay, you've got to tell me as an actor.
He was an actor
He
too.
was an actor too, but then he was not that prominent face as an actor. And I'm sorry, Kishore fans.
I love him. You like offend my feelings right now.
I love it.
I don't love it. Just kidding, but I'm a huge fan of. I'm a huge fan of Sridevi ji. If you talk about female actors, I'm a huge fan of Madhubala ji, Meena Kumari ji.
Wow.
I am a huge fan of Mumtaz ji. I loved her. I love just everything about her. So I have watched all of those films that were made before I was even born. You know, so I understand that kind of a cinema, and that really appeals to me in a way.
Wow, beautiful.
Yeah, so I am a huge fan like that. So I
So
feel like
she's a
that's,
retro
like,
fan
crazy.
actually, and obviously the actors she named right now, they are beautiful. They are, they have a different aura altogether, and I mean, guys, do you kind of notice that her eyes also look a little bit like Mumtaz's because she's got these big bulging eyes actually.
Thank you.
So yeah, my next question to you is, who would you want to act as a co-star? Again, I mean opposite. Who would that actor be? Who would you want to act as a co-star with?
Salman sir.
Okay.
I mean, it was already like amazing to work with Govinda sir and all of these, like Varun Sharma and all of these people. But like now that I know I've done that, and I still enjoy filming.
So you
with him.
want to take it a notch up higher?
Yeah, like I think for me it's not really like notch up, notch down kind of a thingy. But yeah, I want to work with him and Ranveer Singh.
Oh, okay. And I would give you 3 names of 3 actors, and you've got to rate them 1, 2, and 3. Shah Rukh Khan, Salman Khan, Ranbir Kapoor.
I can't.
You have to.
I can't.
You have to at least name
They're
one.
all A for me. There's no B and C. I'll tell you why. There's just so much. Not in terms of fame and popularity, but what they have done all of these years. I probably haven't done 1%, and I'm nobody to rate them.
All right. Okay. Well said. My next question to you is, if given a chance, which Bollywood remake would you want to be a part of?
Oh, that's interesting. I want to be a part of a lot of remakes actually. But
can
I
name
want
any of them.
to do something like Mughal Azam or stuff.
Okay. I mean, since you're very, well versed with the old Bollywood repertoire, I would like to ask you, which of these three directors would you like? I mean, which of these three directors' films would you like to watch? So there is this number one, Kamal Amrohi Pakiza. Number two, Gurudat's Pyasa. Number three, K. Asif's Mughal Azam.
I think I watched all of their films.
But
Guru
would
Dutt
you-
Saab first,
Okay.
and then everyone.
And then
And then
Baki-
everyone.
Okay. All right. I mean, my next question to you is a little tricky, but I wouldn't take no for an answer for sure. Okay. The biggest wannabe in Bollywood.
I have just walked in. They better not throw me out.
Oh no, trust me, that's not gonna happen, especially with a beautiful girl like you.
Now, sweet. Wannabe in what terms?
In anything that you actually, I mean, if you find someone wannabe, just spill out the beans and just say, fine,
I
she's a
think
wannabe.
a lot of people are when it comes to fashion.
It's not just Bollywood. You can actually take names from the television industry as well, because trust me, and I don't really have any qualms in saying this, in television most of the people are wannabes.
Oh, no wonder.
Okay.
No wondering there, but a lot of people, I think, especially when I never understood a lot of these dressing games, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So when I know people who weren't fashionable in real life would suddenly act up on a red carpet saying that it freaks me out still, because see, there are certain things inherent.
Absolutely.
All right, you might have a great fashion sense because you have it, but when you just put that on for a little bit, it starts getting funny, and I've seen that a lot. I think it's hilarious. As a kid, I used to start laughing, but then my mom told me to shut up, so kind of.
That was really good. She didn't really very politically. She did not really take any name, but the answer was hilarious. Yes. All right. Okay. My last question to you is, given a choice, who would you actually? I mean, in the current Bollywood direction space, who would you want to work with? Karan Johar, Sanjalila Bhansali.
Ooh. See, like, I'm a huge retro fan, and I want to do films like Mughal Azam, and I want to do all of those films.
I
so-
know where this conversation is going.
Yeah, but I am also
Very modern fan. I'm a very.
Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum fan. So you put me in like
in a spot.
yeah, like I'm like, can I just do 2 films in a year, and can you guys just sign me for that?
Wow, she's really cute and she's really good with her answers too. So, guys, I mean, everyone who's watching this, please make sure that she's the next girl in all your films. And it was lovely talking to the beautiful Digangana Suryavanshi. My name is Sandeep with camera person. Oh, yes. Before I sign off, I've got something very important to say. So, guys, the Ganpati fervor is on, and as you can see, we are all in our Ganpati outfits. And
Yes.
after a few moments, she's going to take up the Aarti Kathali and she's going to go in front of a Ganpati and Ganu Bhaiya actually, and she's going to ask for his blessings. This is Sandeep from Hindustan Times Online, Desimartini.com with camera person Abhinandan Sood. Thank you so much.
Thank